Washington wins this one 27-22 up in New Jersey, not New York, against those Giants. We've got your instant reaction right here on Ref the District.
Yeah, that's Ref the District. Come on now and join us.
Let's go.
Greetings and salutations and welcome to Ref the District. I'm Nathan Perry. That's Trev. No stoner because he is actually up at MetLife Stadium. He got to celebrate this one in person, and it is another Washington victory. 7-2 on the season. Unbelievable start to the season. And I don't know that many people would have bet that, seeing as the over-under wins was set much lower than that. They won 4 games last year, already about to double that. Going to double it next week, Trev, but we'll worry about that later. Terry McLaurin, 2 touchdowns on the day. You have another efficient day by Jaden Daniels, 15 for 22, 209 yards. Chris Rodriguez coming into the game, filling in for an injured Brian Robertson, 11 carries, 52 yards. More on that guy later. Terry McLaurin making the most of his time, 2 catches, 2 touchdowns on 3 targets. An interesting choice there. 2 sacks on Daniel Jones today, who looked pretty good. I don't know what it is about this team that makes Daniel Jones look pretty good, but it's not how things would have gone if you were better and you would have known better on Bet Online, the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for online betting. Get the earliest odds to in-game live betting. Bet Online provides you with all the action, the ability to watch the games as they happen, with the largest selection of odds on everything from football, NBA, NHL to entertainment, and even political props. Head to Bet Online today to get in the action with America's most trusted site for online wagering. Bet Online, the game starts here. Let's start talking about this game here, Trev. I think we're getting a little spoiled as I'm just kind of watching this game, going through the motions, and it just kind of was a meh game.
Yeah.
Why did it feel like a meh game, Trev?
Because there weren't that many explosive plays. The announce team did a horrible job calling the game. They're so boring. Chris Myers and Mark Sanchez with his man bun ponytail today.
Chris Myers, my favorite. Yeah. Sorry to interrupt you on this one. Chris Myers. Jaden Daniels, he listens to R&B before the game.
It's like, okay.
What? What are we talking about here?
It's because he made a nice little juke. Doesn't mean he listens to R&B before every game, but whatever. It was just a Met game. Nothing was explosive. Nothing that made you say, wow, what a play. I mean, Noah Brown's catch was a heck of a catch, that on the sideline, 2 feet in, contorting his body. That was a nice catch. Mm-hmm. It's a beautiful ball, Terry McLaurin on the fade to the touchdown catch. But yeah, it was just a meh game. And I think that's what happens when you play the Giants. So I feel like no matter what team the Giants play, that team plays down to their level of competition to where it's sloppy or boring or pedestrian-like. And I feel like that's what happened
about the Giants. But we swept the Giants. Bring out the brooms, folks. Bring out the brooms. Yeah, Katie, don't, like, we're not going to be complaining the whole time. I'm just saying that it was a little interesting that this just seemed more run-of-the-mill for Washington in a victory way. Not a oh God, we're losing again way, but in a kind of like, yeah, we're used to this now. Jaden Daniels is in control. We're up 14 points in the 4th quarter. We're driving. We're scoring points. That's pretty good. You know who's not met, by the way, Trev? All the people in the chat right now. We got Locked On Law. We got Trey. Antoine's here. Doug is here. Hillbilly's here. Joel's here. Katie Tick there as well. Tiho in the house. Long time no see there for Tiho. Long time supporter of the channel. Of course, you can support the channel also by hitting that like button, subscribing to the channel, and making sure you share it with your friends so they can join the conversation as we go on here. Washington did win this game and honestly felt in control for, I think, the majority of the game. Now, only 6 points scored in the second half, and the defense today was very bend, don't break. Broke a couple of times there. Authentic was on with us, and he talked about how they just don't see passing touchdowns at MetLife Stadium 2 today for Daniel Jones, rather, which is a little bit of an oddity for the MetLife crowd, but it didn't matter. In the end, Washington wins. Let's start off with first thanking Angela here for a $5 donation. I'm happy, but Why is their defense always gassed in the second half? That's a concern, she says. Angela, first, thank you for the $5 donation, and thanks for starting off the conversation here, because I wanted to start with this part because I feel like this is the not great part, and then we'll get to the good part later. I like to finish on a good note here, and we will get our no-gos and go-gos and our player of the game later as well. But Angela is asking Trev, why is the defense gassed? I mean, the defense wasn't even just gassed in the second half. That Giants were driving the ball, they just couldn't finish. And a timely turnover where Washington was able to cash in for 7 definitely helped.
Yeah, it looks like our run defense is still less than mediocre. We let anybody with some type of run game just do what they want to do with us. And that showed in the first half. They had that, 16-play drive that lasted like almost 10 minutes. And that's a good game plan for somebody like Jaden Daniels. If you're facing him, keep him off the field. There's no way he can score unless he has the ball. And he can't have the ball unless he's on the field, which he wasn't for the most part of that first half. So, yeah, they were just, I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's the coaching or if it's just the talent that we have or lack thereof on the run defense, but something's got to change because we're getting into the nitty-gritty of the season. We're getting more and more noticed and covered as we keep winning these games. We're 7-2 now, so we got to shore that up. But, yeah, I don't understand what's going on.
164 yards on the ground for New York. Tracy Jr. taking the ball 16 times for 66 yards. That's good for 4.1 a carry. Daniel Jones, just a very strong day on the ground for him. 7 carries, 54 yards, trucking over Mikey Sanistrell, which was just sad to see.
Embarrassing.
He needs to wrap him up. You're not going to. Daniel Jones is much bigger than Sanistrell. Exactly. He needed to wrap him up, but Sanistrell likes doing these big hits. Jones able to make that one. Devin Singletary 7 carries for 33 yards for also more than 4.5 yards a carry. The thing is, what I think was really good for Washington here, and when we're talking about the defense, is they were giving up good chunk yards on the ground, and that seemed to be the Giants' plan. But Washington, while giving up those yards on the ground, wasn't giving up points. And then Washington got ahead early at halftime, up 21-7, and the Giants had to change their game plan. They couldn't keep running when they were down 2 touchdowns. And that's where some of the passing yards started coming in. And that's where I felt the rush defense started to improve a little bit for Washington, was making some of those adjustments there. Unfortunately, the passing game started opening up for Daniel Jones and the Giants. And we saw those couple touchdowns there, as I mentioned before. It's interesting because this defense has played much better against stronger opponents. And for whatever reason, Daniel Jones and these Giants, they just crazy. And as Brian is mentioning, the Giants ran 20 plus times in the first quarter. I mean, they were just doing what they wanted to. And if it wasn't for the fact that Daniel Jones is an incompetent quarterback and fumbles the ball, by the way, kudos Wagner for jumping on it. He was like, I'm not listening to those whistles. We're going to get this ball. So it's a clear recovery, and good on him. Washington able to capitalize on that and the defensive pass interference to make sure that they got 7 off of that one. This is a defense that continues to be a bit of a conundrum. 2 sacks on the day by Fowler, but outside of that, it just felt like they weren't against a weak offensive line from the Giants, suffering from injuries. The broadcasters had talked about it. Our defensive line didn't seem to impose their will the way that you would have assumed.
Yeah, it seemed like they were a little bit, I don't want to use the word soft, but they weren't as aggressive as they have been in the previous games. And you would have thought that would have been the case, like you said, with the decimated offensive line of the New York Giants. They had a guy that just signed up the practice squad starting for left tackle because Andrew Thomas is out for the year. And, you figure we'd eat a little bit more. Yeah, we got 2 sacks, but we were getting home, but we weren't making ourselves comfortable. We weren't finishing the play. We were letting Daniel Jones escape the pocket and run and scramble for first downs and stuff. So, yeah, we just looked a little sluggish out there on the defense side of the ball as a whole, I believe, today. And that's, again, it's just playing down to the level of competition against the New York Giants. Happened in the first game when we played the second week of the season, only field goals. They were doing the same thing. They couldn't finish. We couldn't finish. We were just seeing who was going to be the worst.
We're keeping it a lot closer than what we needed to.
Yes.
JG here mentioning the rush defense was a bit suspect in the first, but they did keep Neighbors in check. And that might have been, you mentioned that second week game against the Giants. Neighbors went off. In fact, he was the only Giant player to be anywhere on the board. This game, they really wanted to keep him down. So he had 9 catches for 59 yards, which is not a great average for a wide receiver on 11 targets. He had that one that was a tackle for a loss. Jeremy Chin just flying around today, which you definitely love to see. But only 174 yards in the air. So overall, the defense did what it needed to do to get the victory today, which is what you want to see. And the offense was doing just what the offense tends to do. Only 2 punts here for Tress Way, and a lot of scoring drives coming from the Commanders, up 21 points, 21-7 in the first half. Like, it just seemed to be efficient. They only had, I think, 2 3-and-outs that they had, and those were the 2 punts. Outside of that, they ended the game. They got a field goal. They got a touchdown, and then they started off with a 3-and-out. So, I mean, they very good day for the offense. Daniels, an efficient day, 15 for 22. This is without Brian Robinson. This is not the only game we're probably going to see without him, as that hamstring lingers for him. What did you think of this offense sans Brian Robinson Jr.?
Excuse me. We didn't miss a beat. We were running back by committee. It was majority of the first half Austin Eckler's duty to be the primary ball carrier, and he ended up toting the rock a lot and moving those strong legs that he has. He's short, but he is strong as a rock, and he got that rushing touchdown for us. And then second half, it was more Jeremy McNichols / Chris Rodriguez, and then more toward the fourth quarter, which is Chris Rodriguez. So each player out of the committee had their own time to make some plays, and they did. And you could tell that we didn't have B-Rob out there, especially in the red zone, and we took a few extra tries to get in the red zone, and Jaden Daniels had a couple passing touchdowns. But other than that, it did not miss a beat. We just kept the foot on the game plan of running the ball, and we did it by committee today, not just solely based on B-Rob and Eckler.
Yeah, we tweeted this out, and I'm going to go with it here. Paul, thanks for joining us here with the defensive comment there. If Brian Robinson continues to miss time, Chris Rodriguez needs to get the rock more often. You saw it here in the second half. They started to feed them. I like Brian Robinson, Eckler, and McNichols, when healthy, to be the 3 running backs that you suit up. But if Brian Robinson's going to sit and you called up Chris Rodriguez from the practice squad, Chris Rodriguez needs to be the starting running back, filled in by Austin Eckler in the normal Austin Eckler role, and then McNichols in his normal kind of spot fill kind of role. McNichols been good in that role, and Austin Eckler has been fantastic in his role, but he has struggled when he's been having to be the guy to carry it in those tough yardage situations or 1st and 10. He's just not the guy, and he knows this. That's why one of the reasons why he came here. He wanted to be a complimentary back, not the bell cow back. Well, Chris Rodriguez, he might be a jag, but the guy runs violently. Okay.
Yeah,
the guy just crushes, and that's what you need, because that's what Brian Robinson brings to the table. He runs hard, and Chris Rodriguez is a nice one-cut kind of guy who runs hard. So if Brian Robinson's going to continue missing time, for the love of goodness, keep bringing Chris Rodriguez up to let him do what he did today, which again was 11 carries, 52 yards. And I think that if you would have started him, because we didn't see him until the second half, Trev. Yeah. If you would have started him, they probably would have put this game out of hand much quicker than what they did. And that's crazy to say that, given the fact that I already told you they were up 21-7 with just 1 punt in the first half. So it wasn't like they had a bad first half. It was just that would have helped them just kind of move things along, I think, a lot further if Chris Rodriguez would have been there.
Yeah, I agree. He came in, did his job. I know people saw that news that he's been elevated. It was like, oh, great, Chris Rodriguez. But then you heard B-Rob had a chance to go, and then right pregame he didn't have a go. And C-Rod just finds the hole and just runs like he has. It's like the last run he'll ever have in his career. That's how he runs. And he did that with last year too. Towards the end of the year when we were getting blown out and the season was over, he came in and showed some promise, which is I think the reason why he's still here for us this year with a brand new staff, brand new regime, and everything. So yeah, shout out C-Rod. He performed excellently and did his job, did his role.
Yeah, right when Washington really needed him too, as well as they were trying to put this one away late, he was helping coming in. Now, Washington settling for 2 field goals in the second half rather than getting
Yeah,
touchdowns there. This is something that I wanted to bring up because we also talked about this on our Twitter feed. Is when the Giants scored a touchdown to bring it within 8 points, we wanted Cliff Kingsbury to be aggressive. Now they did move the ball down the field, 11 plays, 63 yards, and got a field goal out of it. But the concern, I think, is what we've seen before is second half offense tends to be too conservative. They let the foot off the pedal, and
yeah.
we see a lot more just kind of plodding and just being okay with like maybe not having extended drives, just kind of moving the ball along. And I hate to see that. That's not something I want to see. I want to see them continue to be aggressive. Put 30 up on everybody,
Yeah,
especially with a
exactly.
defense that is maybe not the best,
Mhm.
just keep pushing and whatnot. So a good 11-yard play drive, Trev, but I really wanted to be a little bit more aggressive there at the in the third and fourth quarter.
Yes, and especially towards the end of the game, I wanted us to score a touchdown. I did not want us to kneel that for a victory on the 1 or 2 yard line. I know people were like, "Well, yeah, well, if we do that, it calls for a chance for a turnover. They could run all the way back or have another chance." But I don't see that happening. I wanted to punch it down the throats, and it's a
Mhm.
division opponent. You want to, like you said, put up 30. You don't want to just escape with a narrow win. I mean, a win is a win, but you don't want
Yeah.
to let up and be conservative
In the
because
end, it's a W. Washington is 7-2. In the
yeah,
end, it is that. And as JG points out, the offense, again, you can't be too mad at them. They added 2 more fourth down conversions. They're 11 for 11, Trev, on the
it's
year.
ridiculous.
It's what? Who is this? What is this team here that they continue to go for it? What I like is the smart decision making for going on fourth, because it's not like they go on every fourth and short. They know
Right,
when to go for it, and Cliff Kingsbury calls the right play. So
every
the 2
time.
for 2 this time, 11 for 11 on the season. How many more do you think it's going to go before they finally miss one?
I think we'll get at least to 15, then we'll start missing them.
Yeah. How about we go the whole season, we don't miss one? How about that?
Okay,
How
I'm
about
cool with
that?
that
Wouldn't that
too.
be fantastic? That'd
That
just
works.
be insane. Now, I will say this about the offense. One of the things that worried me, they showed the stat late there, was uh the third downs. A lot of these were longer third downs. I think the average yard to gain was over 6 yards by the end of it. And that was something that we've seen kind of the opposite of coming into this game, is Washington being very efficient on first and second down and not needing a lot of third downs in the end. And this is somewhere where, as they have it up there, third down efficiency today, 5 of 12, and 12 third downs is a lot, and only getting 5 is not a lot. So third
Yeah.
down efficiency, Trev, where are you standing on that one?
Once again, I just feel like it's playing down to the level of competition that you're playing
Mhm.
against. Because, like you said, it hasn't been a thing for us pretty much all season until today. And yeah, 12 third downs is a lot of third downs. But yeah, I think it could be corrected. I just feel like we came into this game literally knowing it was the Giants. They were 2-6. I think we already thought we had this one in the bag, but still didn't sleep on it because it is a division game. But I think that was the mentality today because it kind of showed on the field. It was just very sluggish, very just not all into it.
Kind of like that meh game we're talking about here. Now,
Yeah.
not meh. In fact, pretty dang on good. I put this up there with the fourth down conversions, Trev. The New York Giants came into this game leading the NFL in sacks and
Yes, they
have a
did.
fierce defensive line. It's like the
Where
one thing they can hang their hat on. 0 sacks of Jaden Daniels today.
Mhm.
So kudos to the offensive line, who helped this team get 149 yards on the ground and keep Jaden Daniels clean when he decided he was going to stay behind the pocket, because that man still can't slide worth a darn. Kid, you got
I
some
don't
broken up
understand
ribs,
what he's
okay? Can
doing.
we just get on the ground, get out of bounds, do something there? What do you think about this offensive line turnaround for the Washington Commanders?
Shout out Bobby Johnson. Shout out Tyler Bedia. Shout out Nick Allegretti. The whole offensive line is playing as one. You can tell what they're doing in practice is translating to the field for this position group, especially with 3 new faces on the offensive line and new coaching staff too as well. Um, I mean, yeah, the Giants had 35 sacks. They had Sexy Dexy, Brian Burns, Kayvon Thibodeau, but I think he was out today. Ajulari, or however you say his name. Like they got some studs on that defensive line, and to keep Jaden Daniels' jersey clean today with no sacks is just tremendous. Like Christmas came early for this team because that's been one of the Achilles heels of the past for the Commanders is bad offensive line. So yeah, it's great to see.
Yeah, keeping a clean white jersey there for us. Brian mentioning here in the chat, and I have it up here from the broadcast as well. Jaden Daniels, the first rookie quarterback in the Super Bowl era to start and win 2 games against the Giants.
That's crazy.
Just keep racking them up. Go ahead and give him player of the week again. Rookie of the week again. Might as well.
He will. He'll have it. He'll get it. That's his award.
Yeah, it's the Jaden Daniels Award. And as we're giving out awards here, why don't we move on to our go-gos and no-gos? Let's start off with the no-gos, Trev. It's a victory. I'm wearing the onesie. I have a note on the onesie later. Remind me to that. But let's go with your no-go on the game. Who would you give it to? And a victory, a good win, as Roger says. Who would you give it to?
My no-go is going to go to Benjamin St. Just.
I knew it was coming. There
really wasn't a lot of no-go action in this game at all, to be honest. Sure. But if I have to pick one, it's going to be him because once again, another Sunday, another defensive pass interference penalty on that guy on number 25. So it's just getting old at this point. It's getting expected at this point, and it just needs to change because that did help the Giants come down and score a touchdown to draw the game closer than what it really was. But you can't have that, especially against other teams that are going to face coming up. You can't have that because other teams will take advantage of that and do way more damage than the New York Giants will ever do. So no-go, BSJ, too handsy. Just, work on your technique or something. I don't know.
And the second time in a row here, I'm going to say that, and I know that I've got the burgundy and gold glasses on here for this one, but Benjamin St. Just, that defensive pass interference against Neighbors on the sideline, I don't know what he's got to do differently. He turns around his head. He's fighting for the ball.
That's probably
I didn't see an aggressive grab on the back of the jersey or anything like that. And it just seemed to be a little bit of just a crazy thing here for them. A lot of no-goes on the rush defense, which is fair. Yeah. They weren't that good overall in the game. Brian agreeing with Benjamin St. Just. And I think that's fair. I mean, you got to clean up those penalties. Washington today as a team, penalties were 5 for 52. Uncharacteristic for them to have this many penalties and costly penalties for them. I know that we remember them in the first Giants game, kind of backing up in the red zone that way. But overall, this has been a very disciplined team, and to have those kind of mistakes, that's not what we want to see. And my no-go is going to kind of be in line here with JG here, who says, I didn't see the game, but I was a little disappointed Newton didn't continue to build on his success from last week. And I'm going to kind of go that way. I'm going to call out Johnny Newton, who, what I mentioned, and HT saying he looked great, but the whole defensive line, Fowler was the only one who got the sacks on the day, but they gave up a lot of yardage on the ground, and they didn't harass or capture Daniel Jones in a way that they needed to be successful. And Johnny Newton was the one I was looking to do it. You have the loss of Jonathan Allen on the year. We're going to be down as he went down with injury today. Second round pick Fadarian Mathis, he went down with injury today. So we're going to have to see a lot of Johnny Newton, and I need to see him be explosive. I want to see him be the guy who I was excited that Washington drafted in the second round. We saw a little bit of that last week. I want to see more of it, especially against inferior opponents like the Giants, a 2-win team, a not good team, a team that's reeling. Good win by them, but I wanted to see more from the rookie defensive tackle for the Washington Commanders. Let's move on to the Go-gos. We've already got one in from Brian on Terry McLaurin. I mentioned he was 2 catches for 2 touchdowns today.
Yeah.
On just 3 targets. It looked like they really wanted to bracket him up, but he wasn't having it. As both touchdowns, he just absolutely got his defender out of those cleats. And fantastic pass from Jaden Daniels on that second touchdown. That was just money. Yes. All right, who's your go-go?
I'm going to go outside the obvious of Jaden Daniels, Terry McLaurin, and Christian Rodriguez. I'm going to go with De'Ami Brown because it seems like, yes, he's probably not getting the targets he wants, but as long as we're winning, I guess he's okay with it. But when he does get his number called, he always produces every single time this year. That was a big play today, 3rd and 18. He caught that little screen over there and took it like 24 yards. 24 yards. There we go, and kept the drive alive because that's started the like the momentum shift kind of started right there. Then we had this in the 3rd long situation. But De'Ami Brown, he did it last week too. He did it the week before, just catches and just goes with it. So I'm going to go with De'Ami Brown this week.
Yeah, we mentioned this as well. It's just he has just been making the most of the time that he gets. Okay, he only had 1 target today, but he caught it. It's 24 yards and a 1st down on a 3rd and long. He fought for extra yardage. On the season, he's got 10 catches for 134 yards. So not anything really fantastic, but he's got a touchdown with that. It's only 14 targets through now 9 games. So he's barely seeing a target a game at this point. But when he gets the ball, he's been trying to make the most of it. So good on him as like the 5th or 7th wide receiver in this group. This was a day that Jaden Daniels was passing the ball around. Only Noah Brown saw more than 5 targets on the day. And so absolutely good for him on that one. I agree with you. That was a nice one for De'Ami Brown today. I mentioned it earlier about the Jeremy Chin just flying around today, making sacks, making plays. If I had one knock on the man, if he could have just turned around when he knocked that ball up, I think he just lost where it was. I was like, that was an interception in the making. But no, Jeremy Chin today was as TJ's here, and Yam's going to go with that one. JG's going to go with it as well. But it was just one of those things where, like, that's why they got him. And this is one of the reasons why he was also on a 1-year deal. He wanted to prove that he can still be a difference maker like he was his rookie season. And if he continues putting the games in like this, he's going to see a big paycheck. And so I think that's great for him. I doubt Washington would be the one to pay him, as they've got a couple young guys that they like. Percy Butler showing up today as well, that they love in there. Jim Sleazy just going against. He just likes picking on our man, who's zeroed out. By the way, no targets, no catches. Is McCaffrey on the day, but we do still love him here, Jim. So just there. Yeah, probably some good blocking from the comment section. Absolutely. I liked this one as well. Locked on Lock. Coleman gave up 0 sacks. He did have the penalty, but they were doing a good job there. First time starting the full game. I would love to see the snap count and see if they used him a little bit there, but fantastic job there. Let's move on from our player of our go-gos and no-gos. Who is your don't sleep energy player of the game?
I'm going to go with the offensive line as a whole. They held their own against Sexy Dexy, Brian Burns, and the rest of that pass rushing attack from the Giants. Like you said earlier, they came to the league today with 35 sacks. That's leading the league. Sexy Dexy is a bad man, but we did that job as one, provided running lanes for Eckler, McNichols, and C-Rod, and kept Jaden Daniels clean all game. So I'm going to go offensive line because we haven't seen something like this in a long, long time out of this position group. So offensive line.
Fair enough. Very efficient game from the offensive line today. I'm going to give my player of the game to Chris Rodriguez. We've talked about him a lot today. He had to fill in for Brian Robinson Jr., and he did quite well, getting 11 touches to close out the game with 52 yards and 52 tough yards where it was. He is going to be my don't sleep player energy of the game. We have Noah Brown mentioned as underrated. A lot of people like Eckler as well. Well, you've got to like yourself some Don't Sleep Energy and head out there to don'tsleepenergy.com. Use the code DISTRICT to get yourself 10% off your entire order. Support a local DMV business here in tough times just by getting either some of their fantastic energy drinks, whether or not it's their regular or their sugar-free, or some of their energy shots, or you can get some fantastic gear like the one you see behind me here, the hat. It is again, local company, support them, don't sleep energy. Makes you great. Trev, 7-2. We got more games lined up. I'm looking forward to Wednesday, hearing from our man Stoner to see how it was up there. He will be back. Make sure you tune into that one. That's going to be Wednesday live at 7:30 Eastern, as we always are. We appreciate everybody jumping in the chat here. I'm going to keep this one nice and short because it was a nice and easy game for the Washington Commanders, sweeping the Giants 27-22 here. Again, we'll be back on Wednesday. Make sure you check us out there. We appreciate you jumping in the chat. And until next time,
on the Pittsburgh.
See ya.